Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our February the 14th council meeting. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Tonight, besides our regular council meeting, we'll be holding two drainage meetings. The Invercarron drain as well as the Somerville drain. Those meetings will begin at 6 o'clock sharp and will be chaired by Councillor Van Claveren. A reminder to council and staff and those in attendance that all communication devices are to be shut off. Also, a reminder to those in attendance that this building is fragrance-free as well. I'd like to express condolences on behalf of the municipality to a couple of our residents and their families who just passed away. First of all, to Pete Ender's family, and as well as to Doug Johnson's family. Two residents that certainly had an impact on this municipality, and certainly they will be missed. The meeting will be streamed this evening live and recorded for public viewing on the town's YouTube page using the link that you will find on our website. We acknowledge that this land on which we are gathered today is part of the ancestral land of the Chippewa, the Ottawa, and the Potawatomi peoples, referred to collectively as the Anishinaabe. It is through the connection of the Anishinaabe with the spirit of the land, the water, and the air that we recognize their unique cultures, traditions, and values. Together as treaty people, we have a shared responsibility to act with respect for the environment, sustains all life, protecting the future for those generations to come. Council, I would remind you, if you have a declaration of pecuniary interest, to declare it at the appropriate time. First on our agenda is item number 4, delegations. Clerk, we have no delegations this evening, I presume. Great, thank you. So we'll go to item 5.1. I have a motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen, that the report prepared by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated February the 2nd, 2024, regarding the annual contractual amendments to Articles D.1.1 and D4, the current operations, maintenance, and management service agreement with Jacobs, be received in the proposed contract increase and base fee adjustment formula, be approved, and that bylaw 16 of 2024 be taken as having been read 3 times, finally passed, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. Mr. De Silva is with us. Is there any questions on that report? I'll look to my right first. Any questions? Seeing none to my left. Okay. Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, we go to 5.2.
There's no motion.
No motion? That's correct. Council, I received this letter, and I asked the clerk to put it on the agenda. Although I don't usually respond to letters that are not signed, I felt this one had some merit, and it was some concerns were brought forth that it needed attention to and responded to. I've shared this with staff, and I would ask our CIO and our Director of Public Works to respond accordingly, as there was some concerns in there that I believe have already been addressed or they will be addressed. So who wants to take lead on this? Mr. De Silva, please.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to provide a bit of a verbal update on the petition that this council received back in late September of 2023 from some concerned residents within Kamalaki regarding speeding and overall traffic volumes. I went to do some background investigation into this and realized that we don't have any data, any speed data for the area or vehicle classification data for the area. We have since purchased our own traffic counting software and hardware to perform that data analysis ourselves. Now, it being the winter, it's not a great time to do traffic counting for a couple of different reasons. One is winter operations, so plows, so that these are the tubes that go across the road. Secondly, you won't get a good representation of the vehicles during the winter because you don't have as many trucks and stuff along the road. So ideally, this would happen in May. Once that data is collected, I'd prepare my report and hopefully present it in June for council's review.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from Councilor Bojan?
Thank you, Worship. Just to follow up on that, because I know we've had put this, the radar style sign there before, and we weren't sure if it was collecting average speeds. Is that data collected? Because the strips won't pick up average speed, will it? Where that's just a traffic counter?
Your Worship. Yes, these traffic counters do pick up speed.
Okay, so
They're accurate.
we can have some average speeds that
We'll have average speeds and we'll have vehicle classification data, so it'll tell us whether it's motorcycles, cars, trucks, what size the truck is. We'll have a really good representation of all the vehicles that are going through the area.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. De Silva? Councilor Rodriguez?
So the radar tells your speed, it doesn't collect data.
It does have some moderate data collection abilities, but it's not great.
I just know we put one in, or did we ever put one in Sunset?
We put the temporary trailers in. The only permanent one is located on Queen Street.
No, like a temporary one, is what I mean. Those ones collect data, correct?
There is ability to collect minimal data from it, yes.
What's the minimum?
I have to pull the data from staff.
Like, what do you mean by that, speed or?
I think it's just, there's average speeds. I'd have to pull the data from staff.
Anything else, Councilor? Anything to my left? Councilor Wolbett, and then the deputy.
Well, once again, I'm just repeating what you just said, Mr. Mayor, but the letter is not signed, so we have no idea where this is coming from. But we know, this council most certainly knows that there is an issue on Queen Street for the condition of that road. We've addressed it here before, with all the construction going on along Queen Street, California Ave, and all the houses on the south side. We know very well about the condition of the road, and it was reported at that time, that's going back probably a year ago, maybe even two, that road will be brought up to, improved once. But while they're digging out in the middle of the road, excuse me, to hook water lines, sewer lines, it made no sense to go and redo that road while that construction is going on. So we've had that report from Public Works. To whoever's writing this letter, we very well know about it, and it will certainly be addressed in the future. That was a report right from our Public Works. They talk about in this letter about signing a petition. Well, that's fine and dandy, can't stop that, but we're well aware of most of this stuff. And as a matter of fact, on Fleming, I believe the speed limit was higher a year ago. Now it's down to what, 50? Yeah, and so it was reduced. And I would also say, if anybody's listening, like, if you've got speeders and complaints like that, give the OPP a call and, have them out there. We can do the same, ask the OPP to monitor, but, they also have an obligation to give the OPP a call and just make the complaint. And they have their own speed sign that they can have put out there too. So that's all I have to say on it.
Mr. Shabansky?
And to add to that, the OPP's online portal is an excellent tool. If the neighborhood in concern floods the portal with their speeding concerns, they tend to respond. The portal is one of the better ways to go about it, because then there is a digital trail of the complaints, and the OPP too have to follow up on that. So we've seen some enforcement increased based on portal complaints made to the OPP.
Councilor Wolbett, any other questions?
All done, thank you.
Okay. Deputy Mayor?
Well, Bob sort of covered it all. Just because this is unsigned, though, that doesn't mean that this isn't true. But I'm sure that Public Works Department is all well aware of everything, except Eggerman Road does have a lot of trucks right now. It's winter, yes. Thank you.
All right, Councilor Rodriguez?
Thank you. Just one more question. So because there's a lot of development in that area, and when is that road slated to get properly paved? And that's
Queen Street, you mean?
So Queen Street is not itself scheduled for reconstruction. However, when the regional pump station is installed, a trunk sewer main and a force main will have to be installed down Queen Street. So the plan is to incorporate the road reconstruction into the force main and trunk main and the pumping station project and carry it all out at once. That way, all the connections for the surrounding developments are provided, all the water main connections are provided, storm sewer connections are provided. We would build the developers back for that after the project, and we wouldn't have to cut the road back in afterwards. So that is, we're currently looking for the pump station lands. Once that's determined, final engineering will be carried out. And I think you had a meeting with Jillian today about some of that work. We're hoping to move forward on that and construction next year, the year after at latest.
So it's another couple of years before this road will, I drive down the road quite a bit. It is a terrible road.
Good speed bumps.
Keeps the speed down.
Well, I've also had
I
the same.
literally don't see a lot of speeders because it's hard to speed down that road.
That's what they-
But it's still a terrible road, like it's hard on the vehicle.
Go slower.
Bojan?
One final question, sorry. Just to clarify, so I know we're looking at May for this, to gather that data. So is that when the staff report about common measures is planned to come back to us?
Yeah.
So,
Through your worship, yeah, right after we collect the data, I'll need a little bit of time just to analyze it and draft the report, so probably early June.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
nothing else? Okay, thank you to those that wrote that letter. Feel free to sign it though next time if you'd like. Respond directly to you. Council, you are probably aware of the note I sent, and I'll share it with the public, that there was a question that came my way if there was going to be a turning lane off of Lake Shore onto Fleming because of the increase of traffic in that area. And we did, and I want to thank Mr. De Silva for following up on this. We did find out the county is planning on putting a turning lane in this summer. So there will be safety access that way too, because it's pretty hectic there at times. So that's just an FYI for council and for the public as well. Nothing else under that 5.2. Let's go to 6.1. I have a motion by Councillor Wilvet, seconded by Councillor Van Claveren, that the minutes be adopted by council, and that those confidential minutes of closed sessions of council remain confidential and restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom, Information and Protection of Privacy Act. That would include the special council meeting for the budget on January the 18th, 2024, the regular council meeting of January the 25th, 2024, our special council meeting budget of January the 25th, 2024 as well, our planning council meeting minutes of January the 29th, 2024, and the planning public meeting for the zoning bylaw amendment 3 of 2023, 0 Hillsborough Road of January the 29th, 2024, the planning public meeting of zoning bylaw amendment 4, 2024, 4386 Confederation Line of January 29th, 2024, and the planning public meeting zoning bylaw amendment 5 of 2024, 3368 London Line, January 29th, 2024. Council, you've heard that. Any questions? Seeing none, I'll call for the motion. All those in favor? Carried. Council, let's go to 6.2, committee meeting minutes. I have a motion by Councillor Basie, seconded by Councillor Bojan, that the minutes be adopted by council, and those confidential minutes of the closed sessions remain confidential and are restricted from public disclosure in accordance with the exemptions provided in the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy. That would be the Special Events Committee minutes of January the 8th, 2024, and the Somerville Drain Improvements 2023 bracketed reconsideration meeting 10th of January 2024. Any questions on that? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, let's go to 6.3 Councillor report. Councillor Wilbet, let's start with you.
Thank you very much. I guess I've had a couple of meetings
Sorry, this should be the deputy.
I just got, was,
Did you get fired?
I think I'll do it again.
Deputy, I'll turn this section over to you, and Councillor Wolvet's already started.
Quite all right.
Okay, to go ahead, Madam Deputy Mayor.
Sure, go ahead.
Have had a couple meetings, we had the environmental meeting and thank the council for sending that report back to committee. We reviewed it in depth and what you've just approved here tonight came back from committee, so thank you for that, to the CAO for sending that on back to committee level and so we could review it, so and that was a good thing to do. The other thing we've had was a fire board meeting that was fairly in-depth this time. And there will be a report coming to council, and the big item there, I won't go into any detail, was a training coordinator's position. And that report will come back to council probably in the next, I'm thinking the end of the month. And other than that, there was a lot of good things, including one of our counselors is going to be suited up. Rubber boots, hat, coat, it'll go right to the ground level and given a complete tour of our fire facilities and training, and might even get a little bit wet, so I'll end it there.
What day might this not be happening?
I know.
That might be.
It's a
thing
secret.
to watch.
That's all I have, Madam Mayor, Deputy Mayor.
Mr. Van Claveren,
nothing to report this week, yes.
Mr. Bougen,
Thank you. Just to build off of Councilor Wolvet at the Environmental Services meeting. There was also a staff report in there from Mr. De Silva about the water boil advisory. So I'm not sure if, I can't remember if that's in the recommended reading or not, or it's coming back in another council meeting. But it was a good staff report, just for some background info on that scenario. Special Events Committee has also met, and they were working on their first event of the year, which is an Easter event at the Kamalaki Community Center on March 30th. So there's some more details to come for that, but you can mark that in your calendar as well, March 30th. Thank you.
thank you. Mr. Vazen. Busy writing, March. 30th, I'll bet.
Easter. Yes, nothing much went on. Committee of Adjustment last night, dragged on rather late. Next month, we have 2 meetings. I think there was 11 or 12 different things coming down, so
More now, unfortunately.
yeah, things are ramping up building wise, so. That, a couple of save the dates for you. The Misfits met on the weekend. Dueling Pianos is booked for November 16th at the fairground. And the poker run, September 28th at the Lions Hall is booked. John, if you got your motorcycle out, you can join us. That's all I have.
That's just for motorcyclists, right? Yeah. Okay.
But you can come on.
Oh, but yeah.
Pay a price, somebody will give you a ride even.
Cycle over, maybe they can take us.
There you go, yeah, just doesn't make.
Look good on the
noise. Ms. Rodriguez,
No, I think Mr. Wolvet covered the fire board meeting, although I would add that they did purchase a motor for the 1932 bumper truck. So that repair is underway, and hopefully all goes well.
is that almost running? Like, it runs, does it?
The new motor.
Well, it
Hopefully.
didn't run because it needed a
With this new motor, it will run. Maybe it'll run in time for you to, when you go over there to get suited up.
Oh, yeah,
You'll be able to drive it.
have a little ride.
Ride it.
Next week is the St. Clair Conservation Authority. It's all your favorite people.
Annual meeting.
Annual general meeting is next Thursday in Florence. I'm not sure where Florence is, but
Well, we got it mapped.
yeah, I'll Google it. And I guess everybody's invited.
Clerk?
Can I add on to that? I had a note to enter new business to check with council if anyone else wants to RSVP.
Oh.
I'm letting them know tomorrow. No, it's okay. Let me know tonight if you want, because I think the deadline is tomorrow.
Big town of Florence.
Sweet spot.
You don't even know where it is.
That's the problem.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
what have been up to
Thank
lately?
you, Deputy. A couple things. First of all, I had the pleasure of meeting Councilor Wolvet and our CAO at the Lambton Farm Safety Annual General Meeting. Councilor Wolvet certainly represents us well there, is well respected and gave a good report. And it was a very interesting evening. They had some good speakers and it was I'd say I was the only mayor that was there, but there was several councillors from neighboring municipalities. I've had the opportunity in the last week or so to meet with several residents over their concerns. The CAO and I met this week with SLEP, representative from SLEP. Chantel Kaur will be our representative for all of the municipalities in the county. They've undergone a little restructuring at SLEP. So we've dealt with Chantel before, very good to deal with, and we're looking forward to continuing her relationship. I had a meeting this afternoon with at the county on the Lambton Agriculture Advisory Committee that's being started back up again. We were going through some terms of reference and some guidelines. Once I have more information on that, I'll be sharing that with council. I would also say that next week, the CEO and I will be meeting with discussions over our wellness center, an update on what's going on there, some activities, so we know what's happening there. And I'll be sharing that with everybody as well. And I understand the Lions do have a charity golf tournament coming up in June 14th, I believe it is. Proceeds are going to the hospice, which is a good project they have. So thank you to the Lions Club for that. And Councilor Vase has already given us the update on dueling pianos. So that's all I have. So Deputy, how about you? What have you been up to?
I'm not sure. Running around a lot. Let me see. I asked you guys what you're doing and I haven't done much. Well, but at the museum, they're revamping the museum. They're updating their displays and everything. So I had to spend a couple of days over there, you know, recovering display boards and everything like that. Tried to paint once and it soaked it all up and it was a waste of time and effort and I hurt my back. And do you want to hear all that stuff? Anyway, we got those boards. Well, I was busy. Anyway, yeah, so one of these days when they get opened up again, you know, you're gonna have to see it. They have especially that military room. It's really, those guys are so passionate about it, you know, they just really just go all out to display all these. And I think it's one of the wars is being featured this year. I can't remember which one. Anyway, that's about all I've done. So, and now back to you.
Thank you. I think, council, we need to encourage our residents and ourselves as well to attend the museum. It's one of our best kept secrets, and unfortunately, we need to spread the word about it. There's a lot of work and effort that's gone into it. I will share with you that each month the county does a newsletter called Lambton Musings, and it's articles that come from all the different museums within Lambton County. And ours is also in there every month. And this month is one on the history of the canteen, which the soldiers always award for water to carry through the different wars, how it's changed, how the design has been changed. And it's a well-written article, and to the author, congratulations, you did a great job on it. So council, I think it's something that we as a group need to start to promote a little bit more and to up the profile of our museum, because if we don't have it, we'll lose it. And a lot of work and effort's gone into that. So thank you, Deputy, for that. Okay, let's go back to the agenda. 7.1. I have a motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen, that the council remuneration claims for January 2024 be approved for payments. Any questions? Councillor Bojan?
I had an error on mine. I had 6 meetings. It's actually 5. So it's been sent to Christine. So it'll be as amended.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Anything else? Call for the vote. All those in favor?
I'm sorry, change the motion.
Yes. Yes. Good. Repeat that motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen, that the council remuneration claims for January 2024 be approved for payment as amendment. All those in favor? Carried. All right, let's go to 8.1 staff reports. A motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen, that the report by Elizabeth Cummings, Drainage and Engineering Coordinator, dated February the 2nd, 2024, regarding requests for drain maintenance for the period of June 19th, 2023, December 31st, 2023, be received for information filed accordingly. We have Ms. Cummings with us. Is there any questions on that? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. For that item 8.2. Moved by Councillor Basie, seconded by Councillor Rodriguez, that the report by Paul De Silva, Director of Public Works, dated February the 1st, 2024, regarding the tender to supply and place granular M for gravel road resurfacing be received, and that the tender from Mackenzie and Henderson for $32.65 per ton plus HST be accepted. Mr. De Silva is here in case you have any questions. Are there any questions? Councilor Wolbett.
Just a question on the amount of gravel. Are we keeping up with what that we've ordered in the past? Like, there was a couple of terms in the past where our gravel started to fall off, and it was brought up at the council, and I believe it was raised back up. So are we maintaining the same amount of gravel each year or increasing it? Like, and putting it on our roads?
Yeah, through your worship. So we proposed 13,000 tons. But because of the increase in costs, it'll be significantly less than that. So to answer your question, there will be less gravel placed on the roads. We do have a few strategies where we want to focus predominantly on roads with higher traffic volumes and roads that are receiving numerous complaints because of the condition, as well as using our gravel reclaimer. So a lot of that gravel gets lost in the shoulder. So we have an attachment for our grader to reclaim some of that gravel onto the road. So we'll be focusing on that strategy this year.
Okay, I know at the time when it was being cut back, the complaints started to come in about how some of these rural roads are deteriorating with gravel. So if you have cut back, it isn't very long before you start to, you know, have complaints because the road base just doesn't keep up with some of these roads. So okay. And it is quite an increase in prices. What I'm looking at here, like up to 29.35 ton. Okay, well, like I say, that was a complaint in the past, the cutting back of gravel, so just remind you of that.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Van Claveren.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. De Silva, so we were, in the budget, we were talking about the realigning of the ditches, the roadside ditches and cleaning those ditches out. And where it meets the road, that'll get cleaned up also. Is there gravel put on at that point too, outside of this?
Through your worship, yeah. So in the past, it's been the practice to add gravel to every single road, every single year. This year, we're gonna try to mostly focus on the roads with higher volumes. So that will include some of the roads that are gonna see that roadside ditching as well. Okay. Those are the roads that require the most work. They're not necessarily gonna happen in tandem, but the gravel will start to be placed in the spring, and then we'll be working on the roadside ditching throughout the summer.
Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Great. Go to 8.3, motion by Deputy Mayor McEwen, seconded by Councillor Van Claveren, that the report by Ella Flynn, Executive Assistant Deputy Clerk, dated February the 7th, 2024, regarding the second house agreement request for 5955 South Plympton Road be received, and that bylaw 17/2024 be taken as having been read 3 times and finally passed. The mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. Ms. Flynn is here. If there's any questions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Carried. Go to 8.4, council. Moved by Councillor Rodriguez, seconded by Councillor Basie, that the report by Adam Sabansky, Chief Administrative Officer, dated February the 9th, 8th, 2024 regarding the Rural Economic Development Program 2024 Strategic Economic Infrastructure Stream Grant. We received and the council approved submitting a grant application for the installation of wayfinding signs in the town of Plympton-Wyoming. Mr. Sabansky is with us. If we have any questions, I'll go to my right. Any questions? Mr. Rodriguez?
I don't recall seeing where the signs were gonna go.
All over the town. There is no specific location in the report. But for example, there would be in Kamlaki, you'd have signs directing you to the community center, to the library museum. In Wyoming, you would have signs directing you to the cemetery, to the agricultural society, to McCade Park, to the Legion, etc. Arrow Village, you would have signs directing you to beach accesses, or at least the main beach accesses, and King Square, signs for Lame Recton, Highland Glen, etc., etc.
Okay, so these are points of interest sign
Yes.
versus actual hamlets or,
Correct.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Yes.
I take it there is no plan to eventually put up signs for each hamlet?
Could you just, I think a couple of counselors are having trouble hearing. Could you?
Oh.
Please.
I take it that there's no interest, or is there, in putting up signs for the different hamlets along the way, along the lake, our historical ones?
So during our previous entry future sign program implemented and carried out through the previous CEO, the only villages which were recommended for signage were the previously incorporated villages of Kamlaki and Wyoming. There was no direction to look at the greater area as a whole. So if that's something that council would like to consider in the future, that request can be made, but there's no standing direction to do so at this time.
Okay, thank you. It's just I had some inquiries on a couple of signs at the hamlets and kind of who was responsible for them. As new people come in, they, don't necessarily know who actually put them in. So you get that, those questions.
And with the lakefront community, the vast majority of the developments, so 50-ish years and older, were started out as private developments, private subdivisions and or cottage developments, and then grew into the sprawling urban areas you see now. So a lot of those signs were installed at first by the developers and then maintained by the community groups. Most of them are still maintained by the community groups, but not necessarily the town. Again, the direction from the previous council was that we would identify our previously incorporated hamlets of Kamlaki, which was in the initial Plympton Township, and then of course the village of Wyoming.
I left any questions? Okay, let's call for the vote. All those in favor? Great. Clerk, item 9, I guess 9.1 are we now? Thank you. Interim bylaw. Motion by Councillor Van Claveren, seconded by Deputy Mayor McEwen. Bylaw 15 of 2024 being a bylaw to provide for the payment of taxes and to provide for penalty and interest of 1.25% per month on taxes in default. Petitions have been read 3 times and finally passed, and the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw. Questions on that motion? Councillor Wilbett.
Just curious, Norma. That's a pretty big interest rate. We commented on it before, and that's probably not a bad thing for us. I guess we collect it, but are we collecting a fair amount of money? Charging this interest on overdue property taxes? There are a lot of it out there. You don't have to go into detail, just is there a fair bit of it?
Yes, there is, and that is set by the municipal act.
The percentage wise, yep. So there is a fair bit of,
Arrears, but
yeah,
not as big as they were.
okay, just curious. That's, yep, no detail, just.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything else? All those in favor? Carried. Clerk, I know we have no correspondence. Has anything been added since our?
I'm not here to record it.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to item 11. I have a motion by Counselor Wolvett, seconded by Counselor Van Claveren. The correspondence items A to S related to recommended reading between approval and information items not otherwise addressed by resolution be noted as received by the Plympton-Wyoming Council, filed accordingly. Beginning on my left, Counselor Wolvett, anything for you on that?
I will just highlight, our resolution, Prince Edward County expanding the life, of fire apparatus. This is talking about, our fire trucks and equipment here in rural municipalities that don't use that equipment like they would in, say, the city of Toronto. So I think it's a very legitimate request to say, hey, there was always a thing kind of at 18 years for a fire truck and get rid of it. But what they're asking here is that, hey, let's take a look at this and find out this isn't realistic for small rural communities that they only use it once a month or a couple of times a month. So I do realize there's rules and regulations and about your pumps and all the equipment on them, but it still makes sense to take a look at the smaller municipalities. So I would like to see that supported, that discussion. There was another one here, and I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say it, but I will anyways. That's just me. But that's Q. The resolution municipality Tweed license plate renewal, wanting them to renew the license plate stickers. And all I can say to that is, really? like really? You want to ask the government to charge us more money? Come on, I just don't think that's a role of councils to be going out there. I know they're trying to get more road money, but I think, there's other ways to do it. Let's let the provincial government do their thing. And if they've taken away the stickers and they're shortchanging municipalities for road money, well, then take it from somewhere else and not the stickers. That was a pretty popular thing for the population.
So Counselor, if I can ask you, would you like to pull R and support that, or?
The other one just.
It's a personal observation.
Yes, sir. Yes, that's better ways.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Counselor Wolvett?
No, sir.
All right, Counselor Van Claveren.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. There's a few here that I'd like to draw attention to, and then maybe one that we could pull. So maybe I'll go with I, the Enbridge gas dynamic. If we can just highlight that, it really doesn't maybe give us a lot of information as to why our natural gas is at risk or is in doubt. So it might be interesting just to kind of explore that, investigate that. The letter J is in regards to the Rural Economic Development Program. It's kind of interesting too, and might be worth exploring and investigating. And there's a lot actually in this suggested reading that is interesting this time, but I did want to bring out where the city of Sarnia has created a notice to our Honorable Justin Trudeau in regards to the carbon tax. And they plan to triple it again in the coming years, and that might be worth pulling and supporting.
Anything else for you, Counselor?
That is.
All right, Deputy. Counselor Rodriguez.
So they were all mentioned. I would like to add to the I was,
The Enbridge one.
yes,
Okay.
and my apologies, I was super busy this week, but I asked this resident if I could forward the email to everybody, because it did have quite a bit of information on the on-bridge and a lot of links to the OB and all that stuff. So I'll be sure to do that after the council meeting. And I think we had briefly spoken about this before because it was under recommended reading back in December. I had mentioned that there was a time limit for commenting on the natural gas, and I believe our CAO sent a letter in a few days after that.
To be clear, these two situations are not necessarily related. What Enbridge is requesting us to do is show our support for them. They've requested increased fees. The OAB have frozen their fees, and Enbridge wants those additional fees to be able to expand their systems so that they can provide additional natural gas to the community at large.
Yeah, so, yeah. I guess maybe the whole gist of this whole thing, the whole problem with natural gas and the OEB and the provincial government, and the OEB are at odds with each other on this. There's a obviously an agenda to get rid of fossil fuels, but you know, how are we going to do that in a short amount of time? So they're trying to really restrict the expansion costs. So on here, she actually had in her email, easy heat pump versus gas furnace running cost calculator for Canada. So you can actually go on there and calculate if it's more cost effective for you to use natural gas or a heat pump. So she did it, and it was actually more expensive for the heat pump. So she gives lots of good links, lots of good information. So I'll pass that along afterwards. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Basie?
Yes, your worship, thanks. Minor mentioned as well. I did like to comment on the license plate renewal. To me is a typical political move where we're gonna give you something and then reach around your back pocket and take it back again. So they give it to you on one side and then we have to come up. They download it on us to take it back to fix our own roads, so it's. Other than that, the fire apparatus thing to me never did make any sense that if the truck passes safety and the pump, which gets checked every year, passes. Doesn't matter if it's 20 years old or 30 years old. Probably got 10,000 miles on it. I agree with all of those. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Bojan?
Thank you, your worship. I guess just my one question, I couldn't find a due date for that consultation for item J, but that's something that Mr. Mayor, you and the CAO are looking at providing feedback for. It's for the RED grant or the
Right.
RED program.
I'm not aware of that date on that either, Councilor Bojan, so maybe we could look into that
I know that we have both signed up for the
online.
online presentation.
Okay,
So we might have some more information on that as well.
Thank you.
Okay, Council, I'd like to bring your attention to item K, the OPP Community Safety and Policing Act. As we're aware, the structure of our police board is changing very shortly, and the recommendation I'd like to bring forth, because all the municipalities around us are going to have representation, and we'd like to have all the mayors sit on it for the first go round. So if council is comfortable with that, I'd like to just inform you, I'm going to put myself on it for this time to see as we start it up and where it's going. We're looking forward to the new adventure, and I just hope I have your backing to do that as well. So I'll share that with you. Clerk, we have a few that we're going to be pulling on that as.
If I may, your worship, for Council Wolbett's motion regarding Prince Edward County and the life of fire apparatus, if I could get a seconder for that.
Councilor Rodriguez.
And for these support, Councilor Van Claveren requested for the city of Sarnia for the carbon tax, I need a seconder.
Councilor Vacy.
Okay, and then I'll just need to amend that motion, your worship.
Yes.
I think that was it, right. A lot, the rest were
Yeah.
just drawn attention.
Sure.
Perfect.
Thank you, council, for bringing all that attention. It's good that we did that.
There was just one other item on there, and I think it's just information H. The request for municipal delegations at Good Roads.
Right.
That's something for us to consider over the next few weeks. There is a deadline.
There is a deadline. The CAO and I had a brief conversation on that. at the time, we weren't aware of anything. And that now, there was discussion about the CN issue, but because we had just been at Roma and there's still ongoing things happening, we felt that probably there wouldn't be much of a no reason really to go and talk, because we're at that stage where we're waiting for something else to fall into place. So that's all that I could say this moment on that. So that's not on the agenda. Okay, yeah. Oh, sorry, Councilor Rodriguez.
So regarding delegations, besides that issue, is there nowhere that we'd like to see more funding because we have greater needs? Something like that?
So it's been many of other municipalities' experience that going in and asking for general funding increases, is typically not granted. The best option for, if you have a specific program, if there's currently not a grant program that needs and you need a grant to facilitate it, the best to write directly to the ministers, looking for programs, and work with your local MP and MPPs to help you find those programs. Typically, we avoid asking for delegations at conference for funding requests. They're generally not well received. They're more looking for actionable items that they can help you, guide you through their existing infrastructure and existing ministry staff to solve. So funding requests are not typically accepted a lot unless it's for a very specific purpose.
We have no specific.
We have nothing that would fall into that category. Our wastewater master plan projects, if there was no funding available, would probably fall into that category because it is vital to do those to be able to continue to grow. However, with there's numerous grants out there right now available for those specific types of projects. So we will be working with Jacobs, and Paul will be submitting grants for those in the near future, and you'll be seeing staff reports on that matter as well in the future.
Thank you.
Council, I have a motion by Councilor Wolvette, seconded by Councilor Van Claveren. Correspondence items A to S relating to recommended reading and routine approval and information items not otherwise addressed by resolution, be noted as received by the Plympton-Wyoming Council and filed accordingly, save and accept for items R and O. Those in favor? Carried. So then I have a motion by Councilor Wolvette, seconded by Councilor Rodriguez, that council support correspondence items R from Prince Edward County regarding expanding the life of fire apparatus. All those in favor? Carried. And I have a motion by Councilor Van Claveren, seconded by Councilor Basie. Council support correspondence from item O from the city of Sarnia regarding carbon tax. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, council, we have drainage at 6. We got you need a person. We have one more item under new business. Is do that and then take a break, or we take a break and then come back for the drainage and do new business and then roll into close. What's your pleasure? Okay,
Break, sir.
okay, let's go with new business now. Okay. Councilor Bojan?
Thank you, Worship. I do have two things. The first one is, I'm sure staff is aware of it, but the Main Street grant opening up this month. It's called the Community Activator Fund. And I'm just thinking it might be a really good opportunity for us when it comes to the Lakeshore Park and Lamrecton Park. The grant, just to quote the website, is aimed at community improvements and above grade work that revitalize and reimagine public spaces. I think our work at Lakeshore Community Park with the parking lot, the vendor stuff at Lamrecton, I think there's a cool opportunity here where we are reimagining that public space with a economic development spin on it. So I'm just wondering if there's a chance there we can put together an application just to help with those costs of the hardscaping in the parking lot. And then the second one I have building off of that is the parking at Lakeshore. I was talking with someone and of course just being there at events lately. Did staff consider, when it comes to parking at Lakeshore Community Park, moving the volleyball courts to the east side where the massive soccer fields are, just to open up more parking? 'Cause there's more large events taking place in that park, and we're kind of improvising with parking on the field. I'm just wondering if staff looked at that. Just I'm not sure how utilized that entire soccer area is, if those courts moved.
So I think other than on unofficial community play, this soccer fields are not utilized a lot. There is other places that the courts could go in that area. However, it was chosen in that location due to the close proximity to the road, the lighting from the gazebos and the washrooms themselves. We can definitely look at expanding the parking lot, and maybe, given that we did not account for parking lot expansion in the budget, we only accounted to update it essentially. We can look into that grant and use some of that grant to expand the horizon of that project, and accommodate additional parking in the area.
Yeah, that's sounds good to me. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Counselor, for that information. Counselor Basie,
Nothing, your worship.
Counselor Rodriguez,
Thank you. So I just, wanted to know where Cullen Drive, the Cullen Drain was at, where we're at with that. Oh, right, you're not Public Works anymore.
Your worship, are you talking about the outlet, the erosion control project
Yes.
outlet? Yes, we're working with an engineer right now to come up with a preliminary plan and then have a public meeting to discuss some options. Is that correct?
So that'll come up sometime in the next couple months. And then I had mentioned at budget time about Clover. Is there any interest in looking into that further? I do know the gentleman is working with other jurisdictions, municipalities. Incorporating the use of Clover on public spaces. I don't know if you remember I mentioned.
I think we all do, yeah.
Good.
I think Mr. De Silva has something to respond on that.
Yeah, through your worship again, just, I do remember you saying it. I just haven't had a chance to really look into it yet.
I just want to know if there was interest and if you were planning.
I'll certainly look into it for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Counselor?
No, thank you.
Deputy Mayor,
No, I have nothing. No.
Counselor Van Cleven?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick one, the Colliers project. Saying that right in regards to
Yeah,
thank you.
CMHC Housing Accelerator Fund that Colliers helped us apply for. Yes, the government made an announcement yesterday, I believe I sent out that email. They announced that 60 municipalities would be receiving, 60 rural municipalities in Canada would be receiving funding. It averaged out to, I think, about $6 million a piece if they all got the same amount. So the sources that we have is to suggest that you'll find out when you have a random agreement sent to you for execution. When we get that agreement, if we get that agreement, we'll have to review a lot of those clauses, as Windsor had some challenges with the clauses and the requirements. And because Windsor was unwilling to meet some of the clauses of the federal government, we're actually had their funding pulled. So if we're successful, we will be reviewing the agreement in detail so that council's aware of what we're actually agreeing to prior to accepting the grant. Because I do understand it comes with a number of groups that and conditions that were not necessarily disclosed when the applications were sent forth.
Very good, thank you.
Keep in touch. We may even know by next meeting.
That's all for me.
Counselor Wilbet?
The only item I have, and it's really just a comment, but I think it should come under new business in the building over here in the corner. Is being fixed up, the old O'Brien appliance store. Looks just absolutely awesome. I mean, it's just such a difference. And it's being done quality wise and taken back to what it originally looked like. And for our main street here in Wyoming, that is a great thing. And I think somewhere along the line, the gentleman that's doing that But sure, certainly should be recognized for that accomplishment on our main street.
It's certainly been, people within the municipality and outside have commented on that, so done a great job on it.
All I have.
I have nothing under new business, so council at this time, I'm going to for the rest of the meeting to, we're gonna go to drainage, so I'll be turning that over to Councillor Van Claveren. And then when that is done, we'll take a short recess for 15 minutes and then come back and we'll be going in closed sessions. Councillor Van Claveren, you've got 5 minutes to get the team all in place. So.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, very much.
You need everybody for the Inverkaren one. Correct?
Please, yes, yes. So we just want to make sure we don't get started before a local resident wants to attend. If we miss him, so just hang out. Who's at altitude and. Order, I think we're just a few seconds ahead of time. This is the consideration meeting for the Inverkaren drain. Nothing says Valentine's Day like a good drain. At this point, I ask if anyone here in the meeting on council has a declaration of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest, if they could hear that at the proper time. The purpose of this consideration meeting is to discuss the proposed works and technical aspects of the drainage report dated December 21st, 2023 for the Inverkaren drain. If there are any assessment concerns, these will be addressed at the Court of Revision. If you feel your assessment is not to your liking, you can take that up at the Court of Revision. That'll be advertised at a later date. Allow me to introduce the members and staff present here today. Mayor Gary Atkinson, Councillors Bob Wolvett, Kristen Rodriguez, Mike Vasey, Alec Bojan, Deputy Mayor Nettie McEwen, Drainage and Engineering Coordinator Elizabeth Cummings, Director of Public Works Paul Da Silva, and Executive Assistant Ella Flynn. And the engineer on this project is John Spreet. Mr. Spreet will now provide an update on the status of the engineer's report. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Tonight's meeting is is the consideration of the Invercarron drainage works. So as you correctly said, it deals with the construction aspects only of the drain. This is a new drainage works. It's a section 4 petition. So that means that there was no existing drain there under the Drainage Act. There were some existing private drains along the edges of the roads, and some landowners created some that went over to the ravine, but there was nothing constructed previously under the Drainage Act. So we have a new drain, and we've called it the Invercarron drain. And basically it's going to service the lands bounded by Cairns Boulevard, Mac Ave, and on both sides of Scott Ave. All of the landowners, or the majority of the landowners in this area, have signed a petition for drainage because every time it rains, they have a lot of water sitting around. The water does not move. So they've come together. So what we're proposing to do is construct a new drain, a closed drain, starting to the, you'd say the south, at the Douglas drain, and construct a new drain running up through a private lands across Marg Ave, which isn't really opened in the portion that we're crossing. And then construct a sort of a spider's web with a main trunk going up across some backyards, and then drains along the edge of Mac Ave and along Cairns Boulevard, with catch basins at every location, key locations. We're going to provide every landowner with a connection to the drain. So that connection point, we're going to have an on-site meeting if we get to the construction aspects, and we'll go through those details there, and catch basins all along there to try to collect surface water and bring the standing water down. People will be permitted to, provide tile and connect tile to the drain after that fact. They won't be able to hook their foundation drains in or their sumping pumps directly, because that could cause a problem in the future. But general course, this is a drainage system that is going to, provide an outlet for all this water that's not going anywhere. So to get into some details about it, it's all sealed sewer pipe, gasketed pipe. It's going through a lot of backyards, a lot of properties, and we don't want tree roots getting into the drain. We don't want obstructions. They're all catch basins. They're 600 millimeter by 600 millimeter catch basins along the edge. And it's essentially, we've reached out to the Conservation Authority. They've given us their blessing for the outlet there. So we're at the point now where we're here to hear any comments or concerns about our proposed frameworks.
Excellent, thank you. Is there anyone online, Ella, with us?
We have a Jim Grigg on.
Jim Grigg, okay. There was a Don Brown and a Robert Cunningham that expressed interest on being here and potentially speaking. They haven't arrived as of yet, so. Mr. Grigg, can you hear us? Jim Grigg? Do you want to say a few words or have any questions for Mr. Spreet, our engineer?
Yeah, he's muted.
Mr. Grigg, is your computer on mute? The gentlemen that are with us, did you have any questions for the engineer this time?
No, but keeping Jim Grigg on mute is a good idea.
Should add, we've had lots of consultation with a lot of landowners. So those two that you mentioned previously, we've spoken to them.
Fair enough, yes. Elizabeth has mentioned that too. She's had a number of conversations.
Jim's got his hand up.
Mr. Grigg, do you have something to say, to add? A question? Are you on mute still?
Kind of a chat message.
Long way to Mexico.
Worked with them for 30 years. You're right. It's better.
You survived fairly well.
I like your shirt, by the way.
It's a space bar.
Most people don't. That's okay.
Alex, you see that? Nice one.
No comment.
Is there any of our council members that have any questions on this drain? Councilor Vasey?
Just quick question. Are those streets in there, our streets or private street?
Through the chair, if I may, through the chair, if I may.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
So the streets in Invercargill are amongst what we consider semi-private streets. They are road allowances, which are owned legally by the town of Plympton-Wyoming. However, they've never been assumed under bylaw and opened under bylaw. So they remain under the care and control of the property owners who front them. So they are publicly owned, but privately controlled and maintained until such time that the owners request the roads to be fully assumed by the town. Do so, they would have to bring the roads up to current municipal standards, starting with drainage, which they are doing today. So step towards that if they chose to do so in the future. The next step would be to bring them to a semi-urban platform. Roadside ditches are acceptable in a semi-urban situation in this situation, but the road would have to be widened to a minimum standard and paved either with tar and chip surface treatment or asphalt.
So with that said, they're bringing them up to the first step, but I'm getting a bill for $102,000 plus a bunch of extras.
And there's no way around that under the Drainage Act. We are the registered owners of those roads. Under the Drainage Act, the owner of the road is responsible for the drainage of those roads. Therefore, we pay the assessment under the Drainage Act. They are contributing towards the drain by paying for their own drainage in their own area. But yes, the town, as the road authority, has to pay for all roads which it owns under the Drainage Act. And even though we have not assumed these roads, we own them.
Thank you.
Is that it, Counselor Vasey?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions on council? Counselor Wabet.
Is there any grant money, at all available for this project?
Through you, Mr. Chairperson, there is a grant available for agricultural lands, but because all these lands are not agricultural, they don't qualify for the grant. The province sets the criteria for that, under their ADIP policy, and their ADIP policy specifically says that they do not give grants to residential lands, and they don't give them to roads either.
So there's nothing available for basically subdivision, drainage or any of that, because it's basically a big improvement to this particular subdivision.
I agree. Yeah, there's nothing available under the.
Yeah. Okay, and then I had comments, similar to Mr. Vasey's. Since these are private roads, I'm really surprised that we are putting drainage in without even improving anything else, because we have a lot of private roads in Plympton-Wyoming. And this tells me that they can all come in here and ask for drains along the roads. I didn't know that, because usually it's private road. I know there was one by me that was having big drainage problems, and they had to put the drain in themselves, even flooding their own yard. So I was kind of a little bit shocked too when I seen that on private roads. But if that's the rule, that's the rule.
Well, and not to take Paul's thunder, but I lived and breathed Private Roads and Drainage Act for the last 10 years. Not all the roads in Plympton-Wyoming are made the same. We have quite the, for lack of better words, mismatch of roads. We do have the semi-private roads, which I just explained. We do have fully private roads. So there is a lot of roads. Huron Crest is an example of areas with fully private roads. In an area, in any of those areas, at any point in time, any property owner can make a request under the Drainage Act to bring drainage to their lands. And the town, although there is provisions under the Act for council to not approve a drainage petition, it's rarely done if the property owners are in favor of a drainage petition. So if any property owner wants better drainage for their lands and they don't have legal adequate access, they can submit a petition through the Drainage Act, bearing in mind that they will bear some of the responsibility for the cost of those improvements.
Okay. Fair enough. Thanks.
Counselor Rodriguez.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, did you say Huron Crest?
Sorry, what's your subdivision, Counselor Wolvet?
You have it on Hillcrest.
Hillcrest, my apologies.
Oh, okay, I just want to make sure.
No, I mixed up my hill and my.
Oh, I know.
Mr. Grigg, are you with us now? Are you able to hear us and communicate?
Still on mute.
Won't let him speak. He held up his phone.
Sir, I see you have landed. Are you here for the Invercarron drain? Did you have any questions about it?
Not right now.
Well, now's the time, friend. Now's the time, yeah.
I think I was pretty well satisfied with my inquiries before. I
Fantastic.
spoke with Elizabeth.
Okay, great. Yes. Yeah. If you heard it from Elizabeth, there's nothing we can enlighten you on. Yeah, she's the best. Yeah. Excellent. Well, I think Mr. Grigg, Elizabeth?
Thought, would it be possible for Mr. Grigg to call through to the office and I can put my phone on speakerphone? Would that work?
I'm just admitting him for a second time, so we'll see if maybe a second device.
Okay.
His Wi-Fi there, it's very sketchy, so.
Okay.
He does have, you can actually call him on his phone.
Him to audio right now for the
Okay.
second account I've let in, so we'll see if he has better success.
Okay. And you spoke to him at length too, right?
Yeah, we have spoken to him.
Okay, yes.
He was in support of this project.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I see Mr. Greg is connected to our audio. Can you hear us, sir?
Jim Grigg, can you hear us? Earth to Jim?
Fiber?
In Mexico.
Oh. Well, that's a little. I thought he was in Hillsborough.
Vacationing.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna take a while to
Yeah.
come over the airwaves.
Up on the screen.
I have his number if you want.
Try and call him, is that what you're suggesting? Elizabeth?
Trying to call him.
Why don't we, with the chair's permission, bear with us for a few minutes, bearing in mind that we're still on camera and see if we can connect with Mr. Greg.
Yes, if you're with us, we are gonna take a few minutes. We're trying to contact a resident of that area who's presently in Mexico. That must be unfortunate.
Yeah.
I'm trying to call. Mr. Grigg, that's your phone ringing.
Hello, hello?
Yes, Jim, we can hear you.
Okay, very good, thank you. I can't get, well, I'm not used to Zoom either, as the other people will get a big joke out of there, that's for sure. So I'm not used to this, Zoom method, sorry.
Well, Mr. Grigg, we've had a good explanation of what's happening with this new drain by Mr.
Yes.
Street. Did you have any questions for him specifically? I know you've chatted at length with Elizabeth and Mr. Street directly. Did you have anything further to ask?
Well, just a little bit. No, I appreciate the drain the way it stands. It's not on a recent satellite diagram that we've received, but other than that, and I don't know if the drains are to be exactly where they are or up against the road or the road allowance. So that's gonna make a little difference. I was called earlier and they said that this was only to see whether we need the drain or not. We desperately need the drain. I don't know who's all at the meeting. I can't see. I can see you, John, on the screen here, and Bob. But over the years, things have been disturbed on the grounds or whatever, construction, new buildings and everything. We did have culverts and swales. In the 90s, the road lands were given to the township. Yes, they were private in the beginning. They were handed over to the township. During this time, the roads, belong to the township, as I was understood. And as far as owning the roads, all this stuff about putting it into bylaws and everything is, I know what it requires, but they do own them. So in saying that, without trying to delay anything, I do approve. Over the years with all the buildings, the drains, the culverts and swales have been removed because in the construction right from the surveyor through to the inspector and all through the councils, they have graded lands right to the road, and which should have been said by missing one word, they should have been done to the road allowance. So we've had major issues of swales and culverts being removed when new buildings have been approved by county and township. In saying that, there's nothing we can do about it. You should have pictures that I gave the drainage committee 2 years ago. And if you haven't seen them, I totally encourage you to look at them, every counselor. So in saying that too, it causes a health hazard because the water never goes away. Proper drainage was never there installed with the houses because they said install the French drains. The French drains do not work in that part of Plympton-Wyoming township. They are solid clay. It would be okay if we lived in sand and gravel. It is not the case. So with the extra builds and always squeezing the water to certain areas, it has now become a health hazard. It has also become dangerous for our small children or grandchildren. As everybody will tell you there, get a little chuckle. I'm a little older now, so it doesn't, the kid wise isn't gonna get me. But it's eroding across the roads and across private properties and down the hills to the lake, which is eroding their property. So I do approve the drain very much. When I heard councilors talking about owning and paying for, I thought that was going to be discussed at the next meeting, the way I kind of understood it. If I understood that wrong, I apologize. There's no way that we should not have drainage there and that it should be helped by the township. I have a lot further stuff that anybody there wants to talk to me about. And I guess I'll be repeating, but it's definitely needed. And the money to help us get it there is definitely needed. And even there should be even more drains put in, but other people were not in favor of it. And we are still trying to drain and going to be draining maybe still possibly some of their water when there is an overflow. And overflows are constant now. It used to be, I moved there in 18 and it used to be 1 or 2 times a year. Now it's 5 or 6 times a year. Now this winter, I've been away, but I've seen lots of pictures. It is devastating that it's happening even now. So I'd appreciate your, whatever you do on your voting to approve this drain. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grigg. Sir, did you have a comment then? Did you have a question? Are you good?
Not sure if I'm good, but
Fair?
go ahead and proceed.
Okay, thank you. I do have a motion here signed by Councilor Wolvett, and seconded by Councilor Vacy, that the report by Spree and Associates dated December 21st, 23 regarding the Invercairn drain be adopted as presented, and that bylaw 14 of 2024 be taken as read a first and second time, and that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign the said bylaw accordingly. Paper. Carried. Another motion signed by Councillor Vacy, second by Councillor Wolvett, that the consideration meeting for Invercairn drain be adjourned and the quarter revision meeting be set for March 13th, 2024. All in favor? Thank you all in regards to the Invercare drain. We appreciate it very much. We will now move on to the second drainage issue, and it is a quarter revision. I can excuse two of our members. Here's our deputy mayor. Right on time at 6:20. This is the quarter revision for the Somerville drain improvements. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest at this time? If there are, if you would declare those. The purpose of the quarter revision is to hear appeals from landowners regarding the schedule of assessment only, set out in the engineer's report dated December 15th, 2023 for the Somerville drain improvements. The quarter revision has no authority to change the engineer's report in any way. Schedule of assessment may be altered. Total must remain the same. One assessment is reduced and the other assessments must be increased to balance. Allow me to introduce the members of the court and staff present. Councilors Bob Wolvette, Alex Bojan, Mike Vasey, Christian Rodriguez, our drainage and engineering coordinator Elizabeth Cummings. Our drainage clerk Jessica Wilson is here, Director of Public Works Paul De Silva, Executive Assistant Ella Flynn, and Mr. Mike Garrett's from M. Garrett's Consulting Incorporated is our engineer on this project. Mr. Garrett's, the floor is yours, sir. Describe this drain, please.
So through the chair to council, I didn't have any appeals received during the appeal period on this drain. I don't have very much to say about it.
Fair enough. That just never happens. And there doesn't appear to be any landowners. Is there anybody online? Ella? Well, any questions on council? Yes.
I should ask him something.
Yes. Thank you, Councilor Bojan.
I do have one quick question though. I know that we abandoned the Somerville branch tile drain, I think it was for this.
Yep.
So the maintenance schedule for the people along Egremont, is that for the berm or is this? Okay, that's everything.
That's it, for sure.
That was good.
Final answer? Okay. A motion signed by Councillor Vasey and seconded by Councillor Wolvette. The court confirms the assessments on the Somerville drain is contained in the engineer's report dated December 15th, 2023. All in favor? Read. Motion signed by Councillor Wolvette, seconded by Councillor Vasey that the Court of Revision meeting for the Somerville drain adjourned. All in favor? My role to now announce we're taking a break.
You wanted to drag the mayor back in to announce the break? Sure, it can be your role, sir.
Okay. At this point, we're going to take a 15-minute break. See you back at 20 to 8. 20 to 7. Thank you.
Okay, welcome back. I have a motion by Councillor Bojan, seconded by Councillor Vacy. The council move into an in-camera meeting of council pursuant to section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001. It's amended for the following reasons. Item A, solicitor-client privilege. Section 239 bracket 2 bracket F. Advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. And item B, employee matters. Section 239 bracket 2 bracket D, labor relations and employee negotiations. All those in favor? Carried. So if anybody's watching, we thank you very much for your attention. We're going in camera and we'll be probably back within 20 minutes to half an hour to close the meeting down. Thank you again for being with us, and again,